So, meetings conclude here. What was your overall take on what was accomplished, and how did you feel about the whole process this week, or these days, couple of days?
We talked about a lot of important issues, moved forward on many of them. Some we can't talk about publicly, but meeting went well.
There has been a lot of discussion about Doug Whaley's future and questions maybe about whether he's going to be aboard for the long term here. Can you address his status with the team, Terry, and where you what do you make of that speculation?
Is this in regard to some of the stories about Doug and Sean?
Yes, CBS.
Yeah, well, we just spent the afternoon working together, the three of us. Those guys get along great. They've been making some key decisions, and they work well together.
When it comes time to make that pick at number 10 in the draft in a few weeks, whose final call will that be?
It's going to be a group effort.
Is that something where throughout the draft, every single pick will be a group consensus, or is it Doug making the final decision because he controls the 53? What would be the most accurate way to describe that?
I think the answer I just gave you. Obviously, when I say it's a group effort, it's just like everything else. I think that most businesses do in their life. If somebody feels more strongly about something than somebody else, then maybe you lean in that direction. You know.
And Terry, Sean has talked about the one voice approach. Can you give us some background on your thoughts and the philosophy behind wanting to go this way? I assume maybe this was a decision made once when you hired Sean in January.
Well, it's a lot simpler to have one spokesperson for the organization. And when we sat in our coaching interviews this last go-around, we talked to all the candidates, and one of the things we were interested in, and Doug was in those meetings, is we wanted a coach who could be the face of our organization and that could step into that role.
Terry, I'm curious. Ralph was famous for being the guy that would vote against relocation. I was curious where you stood on the Raiders and the Rams and the Chargers, and if you could walk us through your reasoning on that.
Well, the Raiders vote was it 31-1?
Yeah.
I didn't vote against it, so I guess you know where I stood. It's an issue that it's a difficult issue because I know that the fans in Buffalo went through some hardship mentally, wondering what was going to happen to their franchise. So, but these things happen.
Another portion of that CBS report regarding Doug and Sean was that Sean might want to bring in new members of the front office for salary cap personnel purposes. How open would you be to that happening?
I don't know where that report came from. It's erroneous.
A year ago at the meeting in Boca, multiple owners said to me, they thought there was an urgent need for the Bills to get a new stadium. Roger Goodell has expressed that publicly, etc. But over the course of a year, when I revisited that topic at this meeting, there seemed to be a softening of that stance from the people with whom I spoke in the league. And one went as far as to say that, in speaking with you and I guess Kim, the feeling was, hey, give us an opportunity to get some success before we ask for things like public money. Obviously, that was what was relayed from them. Can you give a sense of where your position is on that?
Yes, the state just got through with a rather expensive renovation on the stadium. I don't think it's our place to make demands and ask for things right now. We have a lease on our stadium till 2023, and we're looking forward to the football season and not talking about stadiums.
Terry, has the NFL still made it clear that they would like a new facility for the Buffalo Bills? Maybe not immediately after that lease is done, but sometime in the near future?
That hasn't been discussed in any kind of detail. Everybody knows we're new owners. We're a smaller market in the league, so We just need to be happy with what we have right now in our stadium
And Sean,
call it home.
Sean, your impressions of the first few months that he's been on the job. Some of your observations and impressions of his work.
Hard worker, dedicated, people person, high character. He's everything we thought he would be when we interviewed him.
One more on the stadium, if I could. Would you be open to building a stadium without public money, or is that something that would probably require that type?
Let me make it clear that when I bought the Bills, I said I don't want to be talking about a stadium for the next 9 years. So I haven't thought about any of that stuff.
Tyrod Taylor gets a restructured contract to stick around. Can you weigh in what your perspective was on that?
That was Doug and Sean working very diligently, digging up everything, directions we could go and whatnot, and the decision was unanimous that we bring Tyrod back with the new contract, and we're all happy with that.
Terry, what has been the hardest part of being an NFL owner 2 years in?
I think the hardest part has been our fans not having a winner. It's very difficult. We're not happy with what we've been doing on the field. We need to get better. We're going to work harder, and the whole organization is behind that philosophy. Work harder, day by day, week by week, Sunday by Sunday, and just try to get better.
Were you aware of a comment that Rex Ryan made to the New York Daily News? This was around the Super Bowl time, this past Super Bowl. Words to the effect that he's collecting his money from you, and was basically putting it in your face as an organization. Maybe you individually, but you as an organization. Well, if you're aware of that, what was your reaction to it?
I'm not aware of it, and that's all in the past. We're full speed ahead this season, one day at a time, Vic. That's the way we have to look at it.